He got problems, she got problems, only I got 411 problems. Say hi, what's up, y'all? It's time for another story time, and welcome to Miss Register. Okay. This story coincides with the last two stories. The last two, I pretty much gave you like a timeline, a rundown of how me and Ryan started dating. But this one is giving you like a little more in-depth look of the backlash. And at the point in time, like we let's just get into it. Anyway, so remember in the last couple of stories I told you like Ryan's aunt was like, hey, I'm gonna send my nephew down here to play basketball with you guys. Like, is it okay? Like, it's like in my mind, it's like this y'all church. this y'all this y'all stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, which it was, like, because we were always looking for people who wanted to play, and most of the time it was the same people over and over, and then it was like an odd number. So most of the time it was me, Mouth Almighty, Skinny Minnie, and Anger Issues, and somebody else. Who was the other person? I don't know. I think like the other person would always be like a girl who didn't play, but like she wanted to hang, like she wanted to be in a group. So it was either like Pimp or somebody else, another girl from in the neighborhood down the street. But it was always the odd number, seems like. But with Ryan coming around, it kind of evened out. So most of the time it would be me, Mouth Almighty, Skinny Minnie, and Ryan. Or me, Mouth Almighty, and Ryan. But it was still an odd number. But like most of the time, and then it got to the point where it was just me and Ryan. Because again, I was home by myself, meaning like my sister had already gone, as I said in the last story. My sister had already married, moved out, and with her man. My brother had already got kicked out, and at this point in time, was he at my grandfather's? I think he was at my grandfather's. Unsure. I think he was at my grandfather's. I don't think he was living in the house anymore. Unsure. But I know like he was gone. Yes, he was gone. So he was already kicked out. So either he was at my aunt's house or he was at my grandfather's house. One of the two. Anyway, so yeah, so me and Ryan, again, at this point in time, me and Ryan are like just cool. We just basketball buddies. It's because Ryan doesn't have anybody to really talk to, and I don't have anybody to really talk to. So yeah, hey, let's bond over basketball. So again, Ryan was more into baseball, but I ain't do baseball. So you would come, and while you're playing basketball and shooting around and helping me with basketball, you're talking about baseball. But most of the time, because I didn't want to go home, because at this point in time, Nightmare is still in the house. So my mom is aware, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to give y'all the wrong timeline, but my mom is aware. I think at this point in time, I've told her a second time that her husband is touching me, that her husband is SAing me, because I can't say the M word on here. So at this point in time, her husband is SAing me. Like, she knows. I told her by mouth. The very first time I saw her, it was an after school special that a girl was going through the same thing that I was going through. And her friend was like, you need to tell your mom. She told her mom, and her mom went buck eight crazy on the dude. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if my mom gonna go buck crazy on the dude and it's gonna end, and that didn't happen. I think details are in the death of Angel Riggins, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I need to go relook to make sure. So yeah. So after the first time I'm telling her, like, he was like, I'm sorry. I was home by myself the next day. And I would say like a week or so, it continued. It got worse. So after it got worse, I told her again, and this time by letter. And she gave him the letter. And he came downstairs and was like, didn't I tell you I was sorry? And didn't I tell you not to tell anybody? Anyway, he's still in the house. But at this point in time, I am like, the way for him to keep me in the house was chores, which is why I have a little OCD now. I need to do that video. I have a little OCD now because it's like I try to stay ahead of the game. Like I'm strategic, I am clean, because you would use chores to keep me in the house. So he had an issue with me going across the street playing basketball with the boys. I didn't find out about that until me and my mom are in counseling with one of the leaders of the church. Check out that playlist, In Love with the Same Man. But yeah, so it was like I had no idea at this point in time. But you could not keep me in the house because all my chores was done. Like, I looked beyond what I see. I played the game. So it was like, oh, if I don't have the kitchen clean, if I don't have the floor vacuumed, if I don't have what else? If I don't have the furniture dusted, if I don't have the bathroom clean, like, she got to stay in the house. She can't go anywhere because she didn't do all her chores. So I would beat you to the punch. My chores are done. Can I go outside? And I would try to beat you to the punch before you even come home. Like, all my stuff is done. Right? So you notice that me and Ryan are hanging out all the time. So mind you, Miss Register drove a 4-door. It was either a Bronco or, what do you call those cars at the time? A Trailblazer. I can't remember, but I remember the color. It was beige, and then her tag on the front had a red line across the front. It was just a red line. The devil. She just had a red line across the front, right? So she used to drive around the neighborhood anyway. As I told y'all, like, I live in a small town, so she drove around the neighborhood anyway. Maybe it was her daily ride because she lived by herself. I don't even know if this lady had kids or not. All I know is she did like a daily ride within the morning, noon, and in the evening. She would drive up and down the neighborhood, or she would take a drive in the back road. So her taking the drive during the back road, she noticed me and Ryan playing basketball all the time. And most of the time it was just me and Ryan. So we're playing basketball, and at this time there's nothing between me and Ryan. Me and Ryan are literally just basketball buddies. That's it. Nothing. He's talking about baseball. I'm talking about basketball. We're shooting basketball. We're playing horse. I'm out shooting him most of the time. Like, literally, and anybody who knows, like, basketball is a contact sport. And so because I'm thinking, like, I want to be better than the girls. And at this point in time, my dream was to literally play professional basketball. There was no WNBA. In order for a woman to play professional basketball, you had to go overseas. So in my mind, I was already prepped for that. Once I graduated college, because I was going to get a scholarship for college because my mom was struggling because of her nightmare of a husband. Once I get a scholarship for college, I'm going to play college ball, and then I'm going to go play overseas. Get out of here. Get out of this house. Get out of this neighborhood. Go. Just get away. So that's what we would talk about. But a lot of times, like, when she would drive by, like, if we were playing, like, again, I'm 4'11". Been 4'11" for a while. I've been 4'11" for a while. Ryan is 6'1", 6'2". So at this point in time, like, if you think, like, we're playing or you're pulling on my shirt and we're laughing and playing, the simple fact that I'm a black girl and he's a white boy didn't sit well with you. So you kind of notice that we're playing basketball a lot. We're playing basketball on your church ground. You don't like that. You didn't like the fact that the black kids was playing back there anyway. But here we are. It was like, so we noticed, me and Ryan started noticing your drives are not up and down the street anymore. So, or if you did go up the street, you would come back when you come back, you're making a turn and you're coming and you're sitting in the cemetery watching us play. Or you will park by a little close to the swings on the other end of the basketball court and watch us play. So we noticed it a couple of times, but literally we didn't say nothing. We like, because you come up and down. And then again, this is your church that we know of. This is your home church. Or maybe you got some people back here. I don't know. Don't make sense to me, but it's whatever. We don't care. And I've always been that type of person, as I told y'all, as far as I can remember. I've never really cared what people thought about me. Never cared. I literally, most of the time, just wouldn't say anything and let people think like my feelings was hurt or whatever. But then when I started being vocal and when people would try to rib on me or, joan on me or make jokes, then I would come back and my comeback be quicker or funnier. That's when it became a problem. It's whatever. Anyway, so like we're noticing it, but we're really not paying any attention. Like we would give each other a look and still continue shooting because again, we're just basketball buddies, right? So this one particular day, it's me and Ryan in the beginning, and she had come down. I don't know if she was timing it because we're not in school. It's like the summer. We're not in school, so I don't know if she was timing it. I don't know if she was riding up and down the street to see if me and Ryan was back there. Because when you pass by, like going down our neighborhood, going down the street, like going this way, when you pass by, because the church would be, if you're going down the street this way, the church would be on your left. So it's like the church, and then there's this space, so you can see the cemetery, and then you can also see the basketball court, which was the goal that we used all the time. And then there was the house, so it was a little space where you can see who's back there, or like you can see like who's playing or whatever. And then again, Ryan had his own truck, so if Ryan's truck was back there, like you can see like the tail of his truck hanging out, because he would literally park like at the end of the other court. So it wasn't like we were hiding. Anyway, this particular day, like me and Ryan are back there and we're playing basketball again, because I'm mostly by myself. Ryan's mostly by himself. So it's like something to pass the time. And for me, it was A1, because it was like I'm shooting all the time, which means I'm going to be better, because at this point in time, it's off season. So I'm going to be better when it's time to get back and play. So right, because he used to be like, I'm your coach. Like once he found out like I was really good, like the dude, he wasn't different from any other dude. Once they found out that I was really good, they would push me, like encourage me, like, oh, okay, come on, let's get better, and they wouldn't be lenient on me as far as like defense. You know what I'm saying? Like just because they was like, just because you short, like the other girls are gonna be taller than you. Like they would really like make me work for it, so to speak. It was like, you want to be better, come on. You know what I'm saying? So this one particular day, me and Ryan are back there, and so she pulls up and she parks, and so she's watching us play, and so we like, but that's neither here nor there for us, because we can't tell you like, won't you just leave? You need to leave. So lo and behold, like Mouth Almighty comes and Skinny Minnie comes, and they pull up, and when they walked up, you leave. And me and Ryan kind of caught each other a look like, that was weird. And so Mouth Almighty was like, who is that? Who is that? And I was like, she lives down there she live on the end with Ryan. I was like, Ryan, you know who that is? And so he was like, yeah, that's Miss Register. And that's literally how I got her name. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, that's Miss Register. He was like, she lived down there somewhere. And I was like, she got kids or whatever? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. So she lived by herself. So Mouth Almighty, he was like, well, why she leave? He was like, why she back here watching y'all? It was like, I don't know. I was like, I literally thought, I was like, I was like, I see her truck ride back and forth, but I don't pay stuff no attention. I was like, but then again, I thought she was, coming like to visit. And I was like, but then she didn't. So like, she didn't get out of her truck or nothing. I was like, and it's her church. And so they was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. And I was like, indeed, left it alone. Right. So again, unbeknownst to me, this is the stuff, what I'm about to say now is the stuff that I found out in counseling. Unbeknownst to me at this time, my mom is going back and forth and beefing with her husband, Nightmare, because you're pissed off that I'm over across the street playing basketball with boys. You're upset that I'm across the street outside in the public behind the church playing basketball with boys. You're the one essaying me. These dudes not doing nothing to me. And my cousin is majority back there. So, you going back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. Well, at this point in time, you are dibbling and dabbling because you could never keep a job. And now it makes sense why you could never keep a job, because you had a drug problem. You were very, very heavy on booger sugar. So at this point in time, you're dibbling and dabbling in commercial fishermen, right? So you would be at the dock on the end, and then like my granddaddy would help out, or give you names because you're married to his daughter. So he's trying to like help you out, keep you going or whatever, to help your wife out, because that's what you're supposed to do. Anyway, so somehow, some way, you hook up with Miss Register. You and Miss Register are talking friendly, making a whole like situation, a whole like friendship, bros. So like y'all hooking up, not in a sexual way, but I mean like hooking up. Like every time you turn around, y'all talking to the point where you're in my yard. Because this one particular day, like I come home from across the street and your truck is in my yard. As I'm walking across the street, Ryan is coming behind me in his truck and he slams on brakes down his window and say, "What the?" And I was like, right. So I'm walking up the driveway to go into the house. And so Nightmare says, "Angel, this is Miss Register." I said, "Yeah, I see her truck all the time and she's always parked over there." She never speaks. You just stare me down. She finally opens her mouth and then says, "It's unladylike to be around all those boys." He goes, "I think so too, and I can't tell you how many times that I've told my wife that it's not good for her to be over there with all those boys." I said, "None of those boys over there bother me. You do." And he caught me a look, because nobody knows that you are essaying me, nasty mother. But it's unladylike, right? So at this point in time, like it's devil with devil. Because what the? Anyway, so it's to the point where she's doing the same routine and we've gotten used to it. We've gotten so used to it. We don't even pay you any mind. We ignore you. We don't give a, we're not even giving you a reaction, to the point where you don't even exist. Because again, we're not dating. We're just cool. So you go to your grandma, Ryan does, you go to your grandma and you tell your grandma like the stuff that's happening. And so your grandma was like, "She's just an old lonely lady, like just let her show up, it's whatever." But me, I'm going, something ain't right. And me and Ryan are talking because it's like, it's uncomfortable. Something's not right. So this one particular day we're playing. And we're playing basketball. We're doing our usual because we're not even paying no attention. So you pull up. And it was almost, at this point in time, like clockwork. It was scary. It was almost like she had a tap on somebody's phone. Because we would be over there, and by the time we get over there, literally 2.5 minutes later, you're pulling up. This particular day, you pulled up instead of parking at the end of the basketball court. You drove around the cemetery and came and parked like let me see if I can show y'all. Give y'all an example. Let me use my keyboard. Okay, so let's just say like this is the basketball court, and then right here is the swings, right? But the swings is a little over, so like just this little area right here is like just strictly dirt, and you can walk straight into the cemetery here, like over here in this area. You drove around the cemetery and came and parked right here where the dirt is. Like, you're not really close, but you're closer than what you were when you park at on the other side of the court. So me and Ryan are looking at each other, and I was like, at this point in time, Ryan, I was like, it's very clear. She don't want you down here playing with me. Or like, it's just I was like, he was like, but why? And I was like, I really think like it's the black and white thing. And I was like, I probably think like we're dating. And at this point in time, again, I will reiterate, we're not dating. There is nothing going on at this point. Nothing. So it's so awkward. It's so uncomfortable. People are starting to talk that the good pastor comes outside. When he comes outside and he was like, hey, I'm going to come and shoot with you guys. And so before he comes and shoot with us, he was like, hold on. He walks over to her car. He talks to her like as he's walking up. He was like, hey, how you doing? He was like, are you out here watching the kids? Or he was like, you want to get out and interact with the kids? As he's walking towards her, y'all, she cranks up her truck, backs up and leaves. This is a good pastor. She backs up and leaves. So I look at Ryan and I was like, it's definitely a black and white thing. She probably thinks that me and you are dating. And so he started laughing because, again, we're not dating. We're not dating. We're literally just playing basketball together. We're literally just good friends. Literally just playing basketball. So the good pastor comes over and he was like, I want to apologize to you, Angel. He was like, because that's uncalled for. And I was like, and I was like, okay, tell me what's going on. What's going on? So Ryan puts, because he was bouncing the basketball. So Ryan puts the basketball down and he sits on the basketball. And so the good pastor says she doesn't like you and Ryan playing together. She doesn't think races should mix. She absolutely can't stand it. She wants me to ban you from playing over here. She wants me to ban you two from stop playing with each other. So he was like, Ryan, I'm pretty sure she was like, she just, he was like, she has called and stated like she's going to talk to your parents. And I was like, well, yeah, she's already talked to, I was like, she's already been in my yard. And so the good pastor was like, and I was like, yeah, she was in the yard with Nightmare. And so, because I would never say my dad, I would always say like my mom's husband. And so he was like, okay. He's like, well, I'm going to keep an eye out. He was like, I came out because I saw how she was parked. He was like, she's been watching y'all for a minute. I would, he was like, I would look out and I would keep an eye out when I'm here just to see. He was like, but when she made that move and she got closer, I didn't like it. So that's why I came out. And so I was like, okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. And so I was like, well, do you want us to leave? And he was like, no, absolutely not. That's not God. That's not love. That's not Christian life. No. He was like, continue to play, and he was like, I'll continue to look, and if she comes back, or come knock on my door if she comes back if I'm here. He went back in the house. The only reason he was coming out was because she was there. And how close she got. Because as I just stated, he said it was uncomfortable for him. That's how close she was to the court in her car, in her truck. Y'all, lo and behold, the same night, I go home. And nightmares. Well, I won't say turn, but he would cook. And so this particular night, he cooked spaghetti. So we're sitting at the table. We're eating spaghetti, eating it. And so my mom's like, this is really good. And so, because it was different from how he usually cooked it. And so he was like, oh yeah. He was like, the reason why, and then this was after we've eaten. We're done. Like, we're sitting here. Like, my mom was like, this is really good. He was like, yeah, it is. This is really good. After we're done eating, my mom was like, you did something different. Because he did. He had cooked it different from what he normally cooked it. He was like, no, I actually didn't. He was like, it was just the sauce. The sauce is different. The sauce is tomatoes, bell peppers, onions, straight out of Miss Register's garden. After he said that, he looked directly at me. I had already eaten it. I was like, oh, this lady done put voodoo shit. I put some in this sauce. You stupid idiot. And I was like I threw my plate. And so my mama looked at me. So she was like, Angel. And I was like, that lady does not like me. That lady does not like Ryan. I was like, that lady feels like me and Ryan are dating. I said, we absolutely not. And I was like, but she comes over and she's doing some crazy stuff. And I said, to the point where the good pastor is uncomfortable. That lady is racist. She does not like me. So Nightmare with your... Nah, you overreacting. That lady, she's the sweetest old lady ever. Good morning, Edited Angel here. Sorry, I forgot this part. Y'all, so she was so, can't even talk. She was so strategic that, remember I told y'all, like, old boy had a drug problem. He was a crackhead. So, he was a booger sugar head, YouTube purposes. But anyway, she knew that. Like, she was calculated. She was very meticulous of how she was moving. You knew that. So how you end up getting the spaghetti sauce. And I remember, like, doing the editing part, you were doing work for her. Like, you would go to her house and do odds and ends and, like, work for her to earn, like, extra money. Because at this point in time, whatever situation you did at her house, around the house, to help her, because she was a little old lady living by herself and you was helping, whatever situation you did, she didn't have money at the time and she paid you in spaghetti sauce. If I knew it was hers, if I knew before I ate it, baby, I would not eat that spaghetti. So when dudes be like, oh, everybody spaghetti, I do not blame you. I do not blame you. I do not blame you. Because people are weird. Booger sugar is a hell of a... Y'all. So I'm going... And at this point in time, this is when, like, I really, like, watch everything that I eat. And so, because you went to the refrigerator and you pulled out the jar, like, because country people, especially if they grew their own vegetables, they grew their own, you know what I'm saying? Like, they made a lot of stuff from scratch. We'll put a lot of stuff in mason jars because of the tight seal at the bottom. At the top. The airtight seal at the top. So you go to the refrigerator and like, look at, you can see the vegetables, you can see, look at that, like the seasoning, she's a good cook. I am sick to my stomach. Sick to my stomach. My mama is just staring at me, so I literally get up from the table, go take my bath, go to my room, And I'm laying in my bed. My mom, she comes down, and so she was like, do you really think the lady is racist? And I was like, I just told you, the good pastor, she does things to make the good pastor uncomfortable. I was like, you don't, like, you interact with the good pastor. Do you really think he's the bad person? Like, do you really think, like, he's not, like, his moves, his maneuvers is, like, loaded? You think, like, he's gonna overreact? I was like, this lady does not like me. She really don't like me and Ryan hanging out. So still, unbeknownst to me, I have no idea, Nightmare doesn't like me playing with Ryan. And the reason you don't like me playing with Ryan is because your nasty mother is touching me. And so you see me as your property. So my mom asked the question, well, Angel, you and Ryan doing anything inappropriate? I was like, what? And so she was like, is Ryan doing anything appropriate to you? Like, are you uncomfortable around Ryan? Like, you do be playing over there with a lot of boys. And I was like, I said, I play with the boys that's down the street that most of them are younger than me. I said, most of the time I thought Mighty is over there. So you really think that stuff that's going on over there between me and Ryan and Mouth Almighty is inappropriate? Well, no, Mouth Almighty is not always over there. I said, nothing is going on between me and Ryan that's inappropriate. We're in the public. And I said, and the good pastor is always, him and his wife is always home. The only way you would know that the pastor is not there is their car is not in the carport, which 9 times out of 10, most of the time their car was there. He would come out. If he heard a basketball, he would come out and wave, hey, you guys, even shoot with us. I was like, sometimes he would even run a game with us. What are you talking about? And I was like, no. The only inappropriate thing, because at this point in time, like, I'm pissed off. Because now I'm pretty much, in my mind, I was like, oh, this lady done put some voodoo in me. She done put her period blood in this spaghetti and was like, feed this to your daughter. Feed this to your family. Because I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep her away from this good white boy. Yeah. So at this point in time, like, I'm upset, I'm leaving. And I was like, the only inappropriate thing that's going on in this house is from your husband. So she cops me a look and she walks away. For a good month and a half, that lady is pulling up. But she's just pulling up at the end of the court and watching us play. I would say about a week after the month and a half, she gets sick. And after she gets sick, she disappears. So me and Ryan not even really paying attention to anything, like, because it's like at this point in time, we get to play basketball in peace. We get to play basketball in peace. We're not even tripping on nothing. We finally get to play basketball in peace. So we not tripping. Oh, it's like, maybe you got it. So I told Ryan, like, I had told Ryan about the spaghetti situation. And so he, of course, joined in on the joke with like, oh, you possessed. Oh, you possessed. Oh, she put blood in it. She put blood. She put a spell over it. Like, yeah, you possessed. Like, we laughing or whatever. So anyway, like, I would at least say like a week like that happened. And then I would say like the next week, I think Ryan was out of town. I think he was out of town. Unsure. I don't know where he was. Or maybe he just didn't feel like playing. I don't know. But I was over there by myself. So remember I told you like their cemetery was back there. So I noticed the fresh grave. But I don't know them people. So I'm not really paying attention to, like, I'm not going to look. But I'm shooting basketball. So as I'm shooting basketball and I'm shooting by myself, like I'm just getting a couple rounds in, trying to work on my long game and working on my short game as well. Good Pastor comes out. And so Good Pastor, he was like, hey, you know, I wanted to ask you, like, how are things going? How's basketball? You know, like, how you been? And I was like, oh, I'm okay. And I was like, I'm okay. And I was like, oh, I never thanked you, for coming out when Miss Register had came over here. And I was like, I don't even know what that's about. I was like, well, I do, but I don't even understand why she felt like she needs to go to that extreme. And he was like, oh, don't worry about that. He was like, God took care of that. And I was like, huh? He was like, God took care of that. And I was like, what you mean God took care of that? And he was like, when you do evil stuff, like, when the devil comes, it's not funny. When the devil comes to collect, like, stuff happens. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, oh, God took care of that. The first grave was her. She had a heart attack. That's why we hadn't seen her. That's why you weren't showing up. You was dead. Well, I mean, she was over. She was over there. You might have been watching. You might have been watching. Don't mind me. And so I was like, oh. He was like, yeah, she had a heart attack. He was like, you want to know what's really crazy? And I was like, what? And he was like, it was barely anybody there. So you wasn't just evil with me. You was evil with everybody. And nobody even showed up to your funeral, you nasty lady. Child. So once I got done, you like playing around, hooping around or whatever, go home and I go to my mom and I was like, did you know Miss Register was dead? She said, yeah. Nightmare told me he was in here crying. That is the story time of Miss Register. I love you the most because you're definitely the dopest in real life, and I'll see you in the next one. Sometimes when I think about these story times, it's like there's no way. There's no way.